What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Discount Nick Mira, and today we are going to be making a beat for Black. We're going to make it a little darker, a little bouncier, take it back to like the free Black days. Even though I really loved the 6PCP and East Atlanta Love Letter, I just want to do something a little darker, a little bouncier, a little more ambient. And as you can see, the beat's already done. I actually recorded this video like 2 days ago, and I forgot to record an intro, so that's what this is. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so we are here in FL. I already have a sample picked out. It's called Karma. It's by my boy Four Nights. It was originally in 107 BPM. I bumped it up to 112. I think it just gives it a little better bounce. I also shifted it up 2 semitones from C sharp minor to D sharp minor. I just like working in D sharp minor a lot. It's a personal preference thing. So here's what it sounds like with no processing at all. So as you can hear, it already has a bass in the sample, and I want to add my own, so we're going to get rid of that. We're going to hit this arrow twice, come to this shelf, bring it up, cut out those bass frequencies. Sounds better already. Now I'm going to come into Waves Cassette, and I'm going to just try to find a preset I like. All the presets are fire. I'm going to just find one that works with this sample. Alright, I have messed with this a little bit, and now it sounds like this. Just gives it kind of an older tape feel, gives it some warmth, kind of like RC20 but not as pronounced, I guess. Cool, so now we are going to add a bass line. Try to find a sub bass I like. Right, once we have a sub bass, we're going to come into the sample. We're going to turn off loop points. We're going to right click the time knob, make sure that's on none. We're going to come to this envelope knob, bring everything but the hold down, hold all the way up, make a nice little box so that when we push a note and let go, it stops instead of just continuing on like it would normally. Now I'm going to right click, go to the piano roll, and since we know we're in D sharp minor, I'm going to come to this drop down, go helpers, scale highlighting, D sharp, minor natural, Aeolian. So now all the light notes are in this scale, all the dark notes are out of it. Stick to the white notes and you'll be fine. And just click around, look for a pattern I like. I'm going to keep the first half really simple and then switch it up in the second half of the loop. Alright, so I heard a nice little walk down in the second half that I wanted to do, and then also a couple of slides. Something I like to do in a lot of my bass lines is just have a really high octave slide right before the loop restarts, like this. It just kind of leads it into the reset really well. I like the sound of it. Here's what the bass line sounds like. Okay, now I'm gonna find a snare too, maybe a rim that I like. Alright, so I found the snares I want to use. I'm gonna come into these samples. I'm gonna bring up the trim, turn off loop points, come into this wrench tab, turn up the shift a bit. That's just gonna push it off the grid a little bit, give it some swing. We're gonna do that on both of the snares. Alright, so now we're just gonna put them on the grid, go into piano roll, control click on the timeline and drag the area you want to loop. Then hit Control B to copy those over, then hit Control A, and then Alt and scroll up on your mouse to max out the velocities, just like that. Now I'm just going to level these a bit because I know they're going to be way too loud. Okay, I like how that's sounding. Now I'm going to come in and find a hi-hat I like. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to this sample, trim it all the way, loop points off, shift it, come in here, right click, fill each 4 steps, go to the piano roll, then we're going to hit Control A, Control A, select all of them, shift click, drag them over to fill the 2-step pattern, hit Alt, scroll down just to give it some extra bounce, then we're going to hit Alt R to bring up this randomizer menu. We're going to randomize the velocities a little bit, the pan a little less, so that's going to sound like this. Before I add any hi-hat rolls, any perks or anything like that, I like to get my main bounce down, and the kick does a lot of that. So I'm going to come in here to this kick I use on pretty much all my beats. We're not going to trim it, shift it, anything like that. I like to keep my kicks on the grid. If you swing all your drums, then it ends up kind of having a weird feel to it. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to just click in a pattern I like. Alright, I like how that's sounding. So now I'm actually going to go back into the snares, add a little bit of a bounce snare to it. Okay, and then something I like to do on my bounce snares is I like to pan them left and right a little bit. And I actually don't want that kick clashing with that, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, we're going to copy that over. Alright, so now we're going to go back into the hat, add some rolls. I think that's where a lot of bounce comes from. So I'm going to actually take my time with this part, make sure it sounds good. I like to stick between like 1/3, 1/4 step, somewhere in here when I'm doing my rolls. Another thing I like to do is try to vary the pitches I use in my hats. A lot of blacks beats actually do that, stuff like float, and it just adds a really cool, interesting effect. We're gonna mess around with that. Another thing I like to do on my rolls is ramp up the velocities. So we're just gonna select the roll, come down here, right click and drag to bring those up, a little ramp. So just do this. They get louder as it goes on. Okay, I hear a little triplet right here. Okay, I like how that sounds. So I'm gonna copy it over. Sounds like this. Now I think I don't really want to add many like perks or like open hats, but I actually want to add a perk loop to this. Okay, I found one I like a lot. It looks like it wants to be 4-bar loop, but I feel like that would be kind of fast in this beat. So I'm going to try stretching it out to the full 8 bars just to see how that sounds. Give that a listen. Ooh, I like that a lot. Alright, we're going to stick with that. I'm also going to add a little ambience loop, I think. Turn it way down, it just gives a little kind of grainy texture in the background. Nice. And it also blends really well with that perk loop. I'm really happy with how those two go together. Yeah, now I might add my own open hats. Alright, I found a couple I like. They sound like this. We're going to come into both of these. We're going to trim, turn off loop points. I'm also going to do that same box envelope so that they cut where I want them to, and we're also going to shift them. We're actually going to shift our open hats even more than we shifted our regular hats, which was already quite a bit. Just gives an even cooler kind of swing to it. And we're going to keep these super simple. I want to do like the kind of the Dead Presidents kind of thing with these where they lead into the snare. Super simple, just like that. Come to this one. Okay, that sounds good to me. Now I'm gonna come in here. I actually want to add an 808 to this beat as well. This is something I do a lot, is add a synth bass and an 808, maybe 2 808s, something like that. Just add some variation. Okay, I like this one. Sounds like this. And it's already in C, so we don't need to mess with that at all. We're just going to turn off loop points, make sure time is off. Do the same envelope. Now we're going to copy the kick pattern over to the 808. We're going to mute the bass, and then I'm just going to come in here, follow the same bass line at first, and then just add my own variations, whatever I hear, whatever I want to change. And yeah, I'll talk you through any interesting things I find. that sounds a lot. I mostly just followed the regular bass line that I had before on the synth bass. I also did the same thing where in the first half it's super simple, second half I add some octave jumps, couple slides at the end of phrases. Those sound like this. I also did a little thing right here where I cut the 808, the snare, adds a nice little tension and release thing. Alright, so now after all that, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna do a really rough mix. Just gonna send this to a mixer track, but first I actually want to color all of these. We're gonna select all the ones we want. We're gonna go to this drop down, color selected, gradient. This beat sounds blue to me, so we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna come into the mixer, select all these, right click, channel routing, route selected channels starting from this track. Sends them all in there, keeps the colors, makes it nice and pretty. We're gonna do the same thing for the sample, and then I'm just gonna do some little leveling, and we will add a few more elements, and then I will call it good. Okay, that sounds good to me. Now I'm gonna go through some samples, just try to find either a little vocal loop, maybe like a flute loop I can hear on this. I'm not sure yet. Alright, so I found a vocal loop I like a lot. Sounds like this. Super ambient, super dark, almost sounds like Travis Scott a little bit, which is kind of fire. And it was actually already in the right key, luckily. F sharp major, which is the relative major to D sharp minor. So I didn't have to mess with the pitch at all. I might pitch it up an octave because it sounds kind of fire that way. Not sure yet. I think I'm done mixing. I think I'm done arranging. I'm not going to really go through the arrangement on this beat, but I would like to go through a couple of the things I did on the mix that I think you guys might find interesting. In the beginning, right in the intro, I just have a little halftime effect. And then that drops out right away. I also have a little delay on this. Just drops the cut, put it on ping pong, panned it a little bit. I added a little beach effect that I put in pretty much all my beats. Just adds nice ambience. For the vocal loop, I did quite a bit of processing, just a lot of EQ, pick out the frequency as I wanted, got rid of the ones I didn't. Cool effect I like to do is this fruity stereo shaper. If you go to the shrinked preset, it kind of like sends it to the middle without making it mono, if that makes sense. And then after that, I threw a pan man on there, just smoothed it out, brought the width down, put it on the back and forth preset. Also threw a delay on there, pretty much the same effects or same settings as the main sample. Then on the bass, didn't do anything, but on the 808 I did throw a little fast distortion on the B preset. I like this on my 808s. Gives it a little texture, makes it like grainy but not overly distorted. Brought the mix way down up to the pre. Sounds like this. I also side chained this 808 a little bit to the kick. Not much, just kind of dips it down a little bit. I can show you how to do that in a later video if you want. It's pretty simple. No effects on the snares, open hats. I just threw some reverb on those. Hi-hat, I actually threw the same stereo shaper preset, the shrinked. On the hi-hats, interestingly, I don't know why it does this, but it kind of makes them stereo, which is a cool effect, but I bring it down a bit because you don't want your hi-hats completely stereo. It just kind of splits them a little bit, makes it a cool effect. Then on this perk loop, I just cut out the very lows, and then I threw a vintage verb on the cross stick room preset. Gives it a super cool effect. I like that a lot. And then on the ambience loop, I just cut out the lows. Yeah, so that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my first attempt at a tutorial, so I definitely have some things I could improve. I already know that. Leave your suggestions for what you want me to change, what you think I could do better, what kind of tutorials you want me to do next, all that kind of good stuff. Leave it in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. I got a lot of stuff planned for this channel. I want to do giveaways, do a lot more tutorials, I want to do contests. I have some kits in the works that I'm going to show off on this channel. Definitely going to give you guys some nice discounts on those. Just let me know what you want to see. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, tell your mom about me, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Peace.